Hi there, my name is Nathan, and this is The Human Experience. And today I'm going to talk about being vegan. But I'm not going to bang on about whether you should eat meat or you shouldn't eat meat. It's more about where veganism took me and how it kind of opened my eyes and opened my mind, and how it was a state that I got to, like a state of mind, a state of being. Not that it matters, but people always ask this when you say that you're vegan. And they'll say, oh, how long have you been vegan? And yeah, if I break it down, then I've been vegan around 6, 7 years. And before that, I was vegetarian for about 2 years. I don't really know what that means, if I'm honest. That's why sometimes when people get asked anything in life, they might wonder what the amount of time means. You know, even in a relationship, they might say, how long have you been together? Now, my thing is like, you could be together 5 years, but then you could break up in the 6th year. You could be together 20 years and then you could break up. So, you know, you could be together for a lifetime, but you don't know until you get to that stage, right? So even with me, with veganism, I'm aware that if you want to say then that I've been a non-vegan longer than I've been a vegan. So there's always room for maneuver, room for change. And to me being vegan, it wasn't 100% down to me at all. It was more down to external influences, the way the world was moving, and what I'm going to touch on now of this going down the rabbit hole, as they say. And being vegan for me, when I think about it, it was like around my 30s, my early 30s, that I was considering this lifestyle and starting to live it. And now I'm in my late 30s and I've continued it. It's not to say that whether this is morally right or morally wrong thing to do. It's just a state of mind that I got to. And that's why I'm just offering my opinion of where it took me and why I did what I did. So for me, like I say, saying about the external influences, it came down to like technology in a way, because social media and having these phones and small cameras and all that allowed people who were probably already on that path of veganism and animal rights and welfare to be documenting the insides of the farms and the dairy industry and the meat industry. And you know, whether this was rightly or wrongly portrayed, because it was always one side of someone's views and opinions generally, that I was following someone that was on that path, and I wasn't always hearing the other side of the people that actually worked within the meat and dairy industry. I just came to my conclusions that I didn't want to support this kind of exploitation, I see it. And this is where I don't try and get on my high horse and be like, I am better than someone else for following this path, because there's lots of other things that I support through exploitation, whether that's having fast fashion or using certain technology that involves, you know, exploitation of labor. There's so many things, you know, even buying certain bits of furniture or certain items that are made out of materials that are just not renewable or sustainable, or, you know, are unethical basically. So we all contribute to this. And what I was getting at with veganism is it was a kind of movement for me which just shifted my mindset to say that I'm more open to seeing what's going on in the world. And in a way, the way I kind of sum it up is it was to do with the world's ills that I was becoming aware of. So they feed into lots of different industries, obviously starting with the food industry that I was becoming aware of. But there's, you know, the financial sector with banking and that, which was, you know, going through a bad patch of, like, bankers as such were seen as people that couldn't be trusted because they kind of let things go. And let us go into, you know, financial troubles through whatever reasons, probably trying to attain profits and more profits or being more competitive. They kind of broke certain rules and didn't have like a long vision for where we was heading with our economics of different countries and the world. Other things that are kind of ills of the world is things like even getting energy. You know, we see a lot of these protests for, you know, the way we extract like gas or oil whether it's in the sea or on land. Like, no one really wants to be a part of that, right? But we all use energy, we all consume energy, and we don't really question day to day where that's coming from. But that's even becoming a thing. And with these ills, you know, whether it's even in sports, with it becoming like a money generator, or there's gambling, or there's, like I say, politics, it's almost as if, as a collective consciousness, as weird as this sounds, as a collective consciousness, we're kind of realizing that there were things that we've done in the past that we need to do differently in order to move forward and kind of not have progress and like profits be the number one thing that we focus on, and that our priority should be sustainability. You know, being able to recycle and reuse stuff is really important now. Whatever industry we seek out, you know, whatever industry you look at, they're important qualities. Like I say, veganism just fed into that for me. I was like, if there's a way that we can have less impact on the earth, not harm animals, even to a degree of consume nutrients in a more efficient way, of like maybe using plant protein rather than animal protein. Like, I'm thinking of it in a health and well-being aspect, as well as just what we should be allowed to eat. And I'm not saying what people should eat. Like, should you eat chocolate? Should you eat crisps? Should you eat ultra-processed food? Should you eat meat? It's not about that. It's not as simple as that. I understand that there's cultures that consume things for the sake of consuming it, but it feeds into so many things. You know, I've heard things recently that I never even contemplated as a child, like even the thing of Christmas. You know, dare I even go there and mention Christmas as being like this commercial success for like anyone who makes products that people can consume, and these big retailers, online retailers, or, you know, retail outlets that are just maximizing profit around this time, because there's like a pressure for people to, if you really love your family and your friends, you should buy them a gift. How crazy is that? Like, you know, and you can never, you know, Bob Marley spoke about this, that numbers are infinite. So I think he was going along the lines of like, with money, it's also infinite. So you could buy your loved ones more excessive presents and gifts, but it's never gonna fill that void of like just that connection, that genuine connection and time that you need to give someone. It's not the materialistic items that are important. You can see that, you know, throughout me growing up, there was a thing called MTV Cribs or Sweet 16, and you just seen this extravagant lifestyle portrayed on TV. But you also seen that it didn't, to me, how I could see after is that it didn't equate to happiness. I didn't see these people as happy. When I looked at MTV Cribs, most of the time I thought that house don't look very lived in. Like, obviously they've done it up for the show, but I mean, it didn't look homely. I understood that to attain that house, you would have to have such a work schedule that you're rarely at home. So it defeated the object of attaining it, if you know what I mean. So yeah, going back to that thing of like me growing up and being aware of stuff, yeah, Christmas was a massive one. Like, it baffles me that we have to buy these gifts and like go beyond our means to satisfy society in a way. And I know that's going to be quite controversial maybe with some people, but yeah, I don't think that is what importance should be put on Christmas. It should be about family, about, you know, if you're actually Christian, about the faith and about honoring, you know, the things that is important within that religion for that festival. And yeah, as well as that, there's other things that I've thought about in recent times, like even bonfire night. Again, the world is in my place. I mean, we're celebrating Guy Fawkes, you know, trying to blow up Parliament, which is quite a kind of power to the people statement. But the way we're doing it again is being exploited. We're buying, you know, boxes full of fireworks, and we're either letting them off in our homes, well, not in our homes, but we're letting them off at home, or we're going to big bonfire night displays, and all it's about again is money, you know, generating money. And not just that, that comes at a cost of, the amount of pollutants that we're putting in the air, the amount of distress that the animals, either the wild animals or pets, are going through during bonfire night, I became more and more aware of after being a pet owner. Yeah, it might sound like a bit Scrooge-like to not want, and a bit bar humbug to not want Christmas and not want bonfire night. But I'm not saying not to celebrate these things, but maybe we can move forward with how we do them. Do you know what I mean? And just have a better way of enjoying certain times of the year. So yeah, that feeds back into veganism of that, we can see, especially in the Western society, in America and Britain, and maybe the trend will follow in other countries in Europe and around the world after that, that food is losing its kind of value as well. Back in the day, being hunter-gatherers, we literally went to get food to nourish ourselves and to survive. And nowadays, we've got terms like junk food and convenience food. It's lost its kind of way, I feel, a bit like these holiday season festivals and stuff like that. Yeah, going back to veganism, it's obviously the main important thing is about your health and well-being. So it's about eating right. And even being vegan, you can be still on this kind of path of junk food and ultra-processed foods and convenience foods. But that can be done in a meat diet or a vegan diet, and either way, it's not the best way. When we look at the trends of cancer rates, diabetes, obesity, we can see the trend is going up. And when I see things like a new burger coming out in one of these burger chains, or these kind of supersized drinks, or whatever it is, these protein bars, and I'm like, do we need all that energy? Do we need all that in us? And are we just not over consuming? And the evidence would suggest, the research would suggest that, yeah, we're on a collision course with increasing rates of disease and increased kind of unwellness, and that to me suggests that something isn't right. So yeah, for me, I think the next step for me, where I'm at right now, where my kind of current state of this awareness of going down the rabbit hole, it kind of fed into, which it might do for a lot of people, of kind of this, and again, it's a trending word, but of like spirituality. Really, I think that comes down to, a lot of it is internal. You can find whatever path you want, whether it's Buddhism, being Muslim, being Christian, even going to some less well-known organizations like the Brahma Kumaras or the Hare Krishnas. Like, there's so many things out there that whatever you find fits you to be the best person that you can. It's a bit like a job. It's whatever's the best fit. There's no right job out there, and each job needs doing, yeah? And it's a bit like your spiritual quest. Like, find whatever path works for you, and as long as it's leading you towards being more at peace, more at harmony, and more, helping to others basically, and supporting others and yourself, then that's the main aim. That's the main goal, right? To bring about happiness, to bring about community. Kind of question things just to see where you get to. This is kind of mental exercises sometimes. And it's like, just question the things that you do and the kind of routine that you live, and see if it fits you, and if maybe it needs a bit of a change or a bit of a tweak. And maybe you're happy with where you're at. Maybe you're quite content in where you're at. But like I say, I think as the world is ever changing and evolving, we need to kind of do that ourselves. And yeah, in questioning stuff, we're not saying whether it's right or wrong always. We're just saying, is it right for us? So on a final kind of note, when talking about your current state, I would say that you kind of need a beginner's mindset. You say to yourself that whatever you're going into it with open eyes. And you're kind of, even if you know something about that thing, that you go into it as if you know nothing. You can be open to seeing it for what it truly is. And this can be with anything you're doing in life. If you're going into a job that you're not really enjoying anymore, or you're in a relationship that you're questioning, anything you're questioning in life, even your eating habits or whatever it is, something you're not happy about, your training regime, whatever it is, know that that initial feeling you're getting, that intuition is telling you something, and use that beginner's mind to think what would better work for me, like, and try something maybe new. And it's really hard to get out of our routines. We all kind of like that kind of continuity of things going on in our life. You know, we know where we're at. It's our kind of comfort zone, as they say. Sometimes we need to just step out of that. It's not that we're pushing ourselves to do something that we're not capable of. It's just that we're testing the waters, maybe dipping our toes into something new and seeing if it works for us. I think that is just a general thing for life, whether it's meeting new people, having new experiences, trying new things. That's the kind of wonder of living, really, of that you can have these new experiences, take them for what they are. I'd love to see some comments at the bottom about what kind of things you have changed in your life, something you never considered you would do, and how sometimes you don't even recognize yourself because you've become this type of person. That would be really interesting to see. But yeah, that's all we've got time for on the human experience, and I'll see you again.